TipTut.
Hello everybody and welcome back to TipTut and welcome back to a few minutes of design. Today we're taking a look at episode number 6, your type. Look carefully at the word on the other side of this card. Write your name in that typeface. Are there any clues to any letters that are in your name but not in the sample? Practice drawing the common elements of the letters. What do the curves look like? What the line thicknesses? What gives the letters their unique character? Okay, let's take a look. Charleston, that's a nice font. I like that a lot. This is good. A few of the letters here are already in my name, A and E and T. For those that don't know, my name is Matthew. I will say just quickly again that I'll be using this remarkable tablet for these episodes because I'm putting together a review. If you don't like it, sorry, it's only going to move around for a few episodes. If you do like it, great, maybe I'll do more with it. It's where I'm keeping all my notes at the moment. So let's look at some common elements of this then. The first thing I'm noticing are these huge tails that are coming toppers that are coming off of these letters. They extend past the line cap by quite a bit. And that's going to be on H's, L's. I would say it'd be on the T as well, but this T obviously disproves that theory. Another thing is the tops of these letters are very round and curved, like so, but every bottom seems to be capped with a straight cap, like so. And like so. Another thing is difference in line weighting. Every horizontal line here seems to be thin, and then vertical or diagonal lines seem to be calligraphied. So one goes up thin and comes down thicker. So the way you draw an A is it would go up thin and come down thick, like that. Okay, then obviously the crossbar would be thin as well. Seems to apply all the way across. Thin, thick, thin on the E as well. So that's something to make a note of, the thin to thick brush strokes of these different letters. Another thing here, same on the O. Yep, so you'd have the O like this, and it would go from thin to thick, to thin to thick, to thin. So make a note of that. Another thing would be, I really like this C, that's very nice. But another thing would be the curves on the insides as well. Where two lines meet, there's often a straight join, but on some letters, there is a curved join as well. This would be, I assume, where the pen would perform in one flowing motion, an N, which curves, whereas it would be two separate motions for a T. So where there is a separate motion, there is a straight line, but when there's a singular motion, there is a curve. So that L, for example, would just be a single motion. That's why there's curved joins here. Certainly some things to think about. So letters that are there, nice and easy. Letters that aren't, let's have a think about those. There's an M. Now a capital M looks like this. To me, that's going to probably mean that there's going to be, I like the idea of keeping these straight rises. There's only on a few letters where the rises are angled, okay? So perhaps the M would have straight up with a big fat round and another big fat round. Perhaps the M would look like that. Perhaps this would be thick, thin, thick, thin. Perhaps the M would be something like that. Doesn't seem to suit too much. Maybe there would be a slant and it would go more like this. Like so. Perhaps it would be just thick lines all the way through. Let's think about that one for a little while. Another one would be the W. I'd probably try and take something from the N when we're doing the W here. So something like curved like this, and then a harsh line, and then curved, and then a harsh line. That would probably influence curved, harsh, curved. That will probably influence our M somewhat. Okay, let's dive right in. I'm just going to pop all of this stuff on a new layer, layer 2, and we'll do it all in a dark font as well. Right, let's jump into it. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this one, I'm not very good at typography at all. So I'm just going to dive in, and what we get is what we get. First chance only, no do-overs. So let's start off with the M then. Now this is probably going to be the most difficult one. I quite like the look of taking this E and turning it on its side. So it could be something more like this for an M. I'm not sure whether that would actually suit the font or not. So let's just dive in and see what happens. If we go up on a straight line, like so, okay, we know that the caps on the bottom have to be flat because every capital letter here is completely flat on the bottom. So let's do that. Let's go thick for both of these. And let's do a little curve. When we come for the join of the M though, we can do another curve like so. And come back down thick again. I think the top of this M is going to need to be curved, and then the join as well. Doesn't look great, to be honest. Don't like that at all, but we shall persevere. Luckily the A is already there for us. Perhaps that will help us inform something on the rest of these letters. So let's go up like so. There's quite a heavy slant. Something like this. I'm just going to go just past the middle line here. I'm going to come back down like so. That's going to be a nice thin one. And about halfway through, there's going to be a nice thin crossbar. And then it's going to thicken up on this side. Like that. Now that looks a little bit better. And perhaps informs this M a little bit. Maybe if we were to make this side thin, this side thick, would then this side thin work? No. Let's leave that M for now and follow suit with the A. That A is pretty similar. So let's do some T's. Luckily there's 2 T's in here and 2 T's in my name, so that's easy to do. Let's do a nice simple flat crossbar. And again, it's a bit weird for me because I'm trying to keep my hand and stuff from covering everything as a lefty, which makes writing this very hard. So that's probably going to be into account on the neatness of this. But I've been dealing with being left-handed all my bloody life, so we'll let that stop me now. Let's come back through, nice thin for the T here, and a thick bar coming down. Again, you can see the typography is not my strong suit at all. For a H then, we have a H here, we're quite lucky. I'm going to make it so that the tail, or the tip, or whatever you want to call it, of this H just comes past the cap line. And we're going to make the crossbar thin and the same thickness or thinness and height as the crossbars of the T's, because that just seems to make sense to me. Try and keep this nice and even, but we'll have it stop like so. I think that would have to go up a bit further, and then that would have to go even further still. I think something like that is probably going to be best. So let's just quickly touch that up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, good. Now I've noticed that I've kind of balls this up a little bit. I think that can be lower here, which would then bring that in line with the rest. Yeah, that would look much better. Let's do that instead. What that means is we can then fix this like so. Remove that like so. And do this a bit more properly. So let's have that crossbar of the HB somewhere here. Bring this in line with the rest. And then have this one extend correctly. Yeah, that looks much better. Much more like the H from there, actually. E then. E is also already there. We're quite lucky with this one. So this is going to be nice and thick with a big curved corner. A thin cross collar. This is jiu-jitsu. A thin crossbar and a nice big curve down the bottom here. Again, coming out, thin crossbar here. And we noticed earlier that this E, there's not much of an indent between the middle E and the edges of the E. So if you notice on here, there's only a few millimeters. So we can bring this out. For continuity's sake, let's keep it in line though with the H. Like so. Again, I will stress, I am not good at typography. This is going pretty badly, but that's what these things are for. Let's finish it off with a W. Start off nice and simple, big curves. Now this is an odd one because I think this should be curved along the bottom, although every other shape is capped. The S isn't, perhaps. This does underextend slightly, but I think it just works. Let's have that be thin. Let's have this one coming out thick. So this will be thick going into thin, and thick going into thin. Something like this. See, the thick going into thin doesn't work very well there. I think that should probably be the same thickness as it comes up. Like that, maybe. So let's fix that just quickly. And this is only rough because it's all about getting your ideas out, having a go. And I know from just this one exercise that I should not pursue a career in typography. Haha, wow. How did we do? Let's have a look. Okay, how did we do? I don't think we did very well at all. I can see a lot of problems here. First of all, I tried to align these, which I know I did wrong straight away because this E crossbar here and the H crossbar here are aligned, but the A is underneath it. So we got that much right. The H and E have to be above the A, but the E is centered. The crossbar of this E is centered here, and here it's weighted higher to the top. So if anything, that should be about here. This should also be a bit lower, and the A should be a bit lower as well. I also think that I should have moved this center line a touch higher because I felt like all of these letters were too squished. So that's why I overshot all of them, which isn't good practice really at all. Other things that I've learned, I shouldn't pursue a career in typography, and doing M's are very difficult. M's are very hard, as well as W's. It seems to me that the simplest letters to draw are those with 2 or less strokes. So the A, very simple. Yep, you know it's going to go up thin, it's going to come down thick, and the crossbar is going to be thin. But what do you do when that then comes to a W? You'd think it would go thin to thick to thin to thick, but then that doesn't necessarily work or look good in the weighting. It then makes you tempted to make this thick as well. But then why would that be thick? That means the brush that you're using isn't then correct. Very hard, very difficult. Not sure. I've learned a lot from this one. I'm not sure what to take away from it other than when designing with fonts, with typography, there's a lot more to it than perhaps you'd originally think. I always knew it was a convoluted and intricate part of design. I just didn't quite know how much so. Probably worth doing some research into the background of this. Famous typography, famous typographers. If you have any sort of reading material that you'd suggest, pop it in the comments for others and myself to take a look at. But I really enjoyed doing this. It's really shone a light on some of my shortcomings. And I think that's a good thing sometimes, to get that check and to make sure that you can then improve on it and become a better designer in the process. So thank you very much to Emily Campbell. And I'm loving this series. I think we're going to keep it going. Thanks to you guys for watching as well. If you want more of this, let me know. And I'll see you all next time on TipTut.
Remember to subscribe for more tips, tricks, and tutorials. Thanks for watching.